First off, I want to welcome everyone and thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Lunny, the new executive director here at the Interscholastic League, only a couple of days in. I want to thank, first of all, before we do anything, I want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding over these past few months as we continue to navigate through these difficult times. Over the past summer, we've been very busy in this office, collaborating with our member schools, superintendents, our principals, our athletic directors, our sport committees, the governor's task force, the National Federation of High Schools, all of our fellow state associations, and the Departments of Health and Education, and planning for this upcoming school year. Due to the constantly changing landscape of this worldwide pandemic, we've been very careful not to get out in front of the governor's guidance and the enormous task facing our schools in reopening for education. As we move forward, we want to stress the importance of only relying on information directly communicated from this office regarding any changes or updates to the school sports seasons. Although there's still tremendous uncertainty about what school will look like this fall and what phase Rhode Island will be in, this update is meant to provide a framework regarding how high school sport decisions will be made moving forward. It's our intent to plan for the maximum amount of participation opportunities in the fall that are safe and appropriate while recognizing the challenges that are facing the reopening of schools for education and learning. So with that said, and I think everyone has this, we just have this short PowerPoint presentation that we want to kind of highlight and go through. And certainly at the end, we'll entertain any questions that you may have once we're done. One second, I just gotta share my screen. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. Okay, this first slide, I've already alluded to all the people that we've been collaborating with. But mainly what I also want to say is that the Interscholastic League and the Principals Committee on Athletics, which is our governing body, obviously we all recognize the educational value and benefits that high school sports provides to the more than 36,000 student athletes that compete in our league annually. With a focus on students' mental health, social and emotional well-being, research has shown the benefits of exercise, social interaction, and sense of belonging. So it's obviously part of our mission that we want to provide those opportunities moving forward. So the plan that we're going to talk about today, I want to emphasize that no decisions at this point have been made on any fall sports. That this plan is going to be fluid, and that the health metrics and data that's going to be driven from the Rhode Island Department of Health is going to continue to be closely monitored as we continue to make our decisions, as well as the feedback that we're going to be getting from our member schools. As you could even see in the governor's press conference this afternoon, guidance and restrictions can change at any time, and we've got to be able to adjust to all those situations. We're going to continue to consult with all of our stakeholders, with the governor's task force, who have been very cooperative so far, in all of our member schools to make sure that we can provide as many opportunities for kids as possible. This next slide just kind of highlights, and I think everybody's got this, but kind of highlights a lot of the challenges that our schools are going to face in providing their athletic programs this year. So we're working with them on models and examples of how we can help to do that in a better way this year. It's certainly going to look different. But one of the highlighted things here is transportation and school budgets are obviously going to be things that we're going to have to worry about, as well as the most important thing, which is going to be the management of any potential virus spikes, outbreaks, or quarantines. And we've been working with the National Federation of High Schools, their National Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, on rules modifications that we can adapt to our sports programs to hopefully minimize and mitigate the risk of spreading the virus. A big part of what we've been doing and what we're going to continue to be doing is the education of our administrators, coaches, and staff, because again, things are going to be very different this year, and health and safety are going to be the main priority. Spectators, when it comes to regular season events, when athletics start, A lot of that's going to be driven by the guidance that is going to be put out by our governor, as far as gathering sizes, and then local decisions that are going to be made at the schools level. What we want to announce today is that our Principals Committee on Athletics has voted to move the start date of fall sports from August 17th to September 14th. And the rationale behind that vote was mainly for our schools to be able to make sure that our schools were able to get open and running before we were going to put athletics into the equation. So that's something, again, based on the feedback that we've gotten from our schools and the work that we've been doing this summer, we feel it's a prudent move to delay the start of the sports season until September 14th at this point. What we're going to do because of that is we're going to extend our summer coaches contact period through August 31st. So that right now, with school approval and within the guidance that's been put out by the governor for phase 3, our high school coaches, just based on our rules, are allowed to have contact with their kids within those guidelines. So we're going to extend that period through August 31st. If we're able to start on September 14th, our regular acclimatization period for all of our sports is going to start, and games would not begin until Friday, October 2nd, with scrimmages and injury fund contests allowed to start a few days earlier that week. Postseason tournaments are going to be administered again by the RIL like they are every year and adjusted accordingly. And again, no specifics on these things at this point, but again, those are how those decisions will be made. It will be coming from our office through our sport committees and obviously the Principals Committee on Athletics. Due to the transportation issues that our school is going to be facing, again, we're going to recommend utilizing weekends for gameplay to try to minimize the amount of transportation and buses that are going to have to be available for schools. That does not mean that all games will be on the weekend. And so I want to emphasize that if schools have the ability and mutually agree that if they can get a game in during the week, that's certainly going to be up to them. But again, we're going to try to reschedule our fall events accordingly and try to maximize participation on the weekend. As I talked about before, I mean, there's a number of sport rule modifications that have come out from the National Federation of High Schools that we're going to be instituting with all of our sports, and we're going to be working with our sport committees, with our officials, groups, to make sure that we can make things as safe as possible. A lot of that guidance is on the page, that link that's on that page on this slide that you can certainly look through. As we move through the process and as we look to start sports, we could certainly be adding more restrictions, more safety guidelines to those equations to try to, again, make things as safe as possible for everyone. As we talked about, we're going to be encouraging all of our coaches, our athletic directors, our staffs to take the National Federation online course, which is called COVID-19 for Coaches and Administrators. It's a great course put out on NFHS Learn, which is going to allow our coaches to get a good background, much like they take concussion courses and other courses that we mandate. We're going to utilize that as a learning tool as people prepare for the season. Each school right now, when they're talking about the reopening of education, has got to go through plans to institute for checking symptoms for any in-school learning. So again, the athletic programs are going to have to be connected with that, and we're going to work with them to make sure that all those safety procedures are put in place before we start any kind of sport participation. And again, throughout the rest of the summer, we're going to continue guidance and support for our schools in many different ways, through coaches meetings, through education, and other media platforms. Again, this is a fluid thing. We have been very happy with the collaboration that we've been able to have with our superintendents, with our principals, with all of our stakeholders that have the best interest of our students in mind. So, we're confident that we're going to be able to provide a great experience for our kids this year. and again, be ready to adjust to whatever happens as we go. So as far as our return to athletics model, we can only go by where we are as of this date. Okay, and again, no decision, I want to emphasize again, there's no decisions have been made on any fall sports at this point as far as what we're going to be offering. But as of today, the phase 3 guidelines put out by the governor would only allow team competition as far as the sports that we offer in boys cross country, girls cross country, girls tennis, and game day cheer, which is sideline cheer. It's not competitive cheer. So if the season were to start today, these are the only sports that we would currently be able to offer. So all other fall sports at this point would not be allowed for team competition at this point. So what's our goal? Our goal and our intention, as it is every year, is to provide every student athlete the opportunity to participate in their chosen sport during this school year. Obviously, with all the challenges that we're facing, it's not going to look traditional, but we're going to do everything in our power to provide those offerings to our schools, and most importantly, to each student athlete. So the goal of this, again, is the framework that we're trying to put in place that's going to be flexible, so that as we go, we can make decisions that are in the best interest of everyone, with the goal in mind of providing every student with the opportunity to participate in their sport. So as far as the calendar is concerned, again, if all fall sports or if all fall sports were able to go, then we would not need this model. But as of right now, if there's any offering in the fall that we cannot provide, we are going to be looking to go to this model here, which is really becomes a 4-season model. So what we would try to do is provide all fall sports that are within the governor's guidelines to begin on September 14th. And that would be our season 1. Our season 2 would be our traditional winter sports, with a start date to be determined. Again, as we go, we're going to make decisions based on where we're at in the process. Season 3 would be any fall sports that were not able to begin on September 14th. And then a season 4, our traditional spring sports.